please welcome Miranda Wang, founder and CEO of BioSelection, in a conversation with Dia MIRZA, actress, producer, and UN Environment Goodwill Ambassador, with Erik Solheim, Executive Director of UN Environment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Miranda Wang, and I am one of the 2018 Young Champions of the Earth, representing North America. In my role as the co-founder and CEO of a technology startup called BioSelection, my team has invented and scaling up a chemical recycling technology to turn unrecyclable plastic waste into valuable chemicals. And through this, I'm tackling the plastic problem. Today is my honor.
Can I clap to that?
It is my honor today to be moderating this panel titled Hope for a Healthy Planet. And here with me today is Mr. Erik Solheim, who's the Executive Director of UN Environment. And with all of his experiences in international development as well as in environment, we really want to hear from you today and how you see all these people coming together in the world to build that future that we are all looking forward to. And also here we have Ms. Dia MIRZA, who, according to another young champion in our group, Arpit, you're the crush of everybody in India. So it is really my honor to be here on that level as well. And of course, Ms. You're the UN Goodwill Ambassador and have been in the center of some of the most successful campaigns, especially in areas around clean seas and also conservation. So to start off, I wanted to ask a general question to get to know each of you a little bit more. And it's around what got you excited about the environment and to become an environmentalist. Was there a turning point in your life that really marked that change?
I think maybe it was my summer holidays when I was a child, because then every summer holiday we went up in the Norwegian mountains. Quite beautiful there. Please welcome. Please come there. And we were spending the time with the cows, trying, of course, to see if we could find a fox or an elk or something, or a moose or something like that. But really spending the time with the cows up in the mountains. And the beauty of that is still with me. Of course, now I've been to see the beauty of India, the United States, and many other places. But at the time, it was really back home there in Norway.
I think it's exactly the same for me. It traces back to childhood and just interacting with nature. I grew up in Hyderabad. We had these rocks behind our home. There was a lot of wilderness, climbing trees, plucking fruit, sitting on the branches, reading a book, watching birds build nests, squirrels play. It was just such an integral part of who I think I was growing up. And then, of course, school had a lot to do with understanding that we were citizens of this planet. And I had very creative parents who were very environmentally aware and who would kind of create an engagement in a system and an understanding at home of, just understanding the impact of our consumption, segregating waste. My mother never used plastics. I can't think back to a time when we used any kind of container for food or water that was made of plastic. So I think there was just so much that naturally lent itself to a sense of environmentalism at home and in my, formative years.
Thank you. Yeah,
and for you?
And for me, I grew up in Vancouver, Canada, after immigrating at the age of 5 from China with my parents. And growing up, the environment, nature was a big part of every, it wasn't just during the summer and camping, but it was my weekends, it was my after-school activities. Yeah. And had a lot of opportunities, actually, to visit. So I took a field trip to the waste transfer station, where I actually started learning firsthand how big of a problem the plastic issue is. So it was experiences like that. I definitely agree that I think for most people in this world who love the environment, you really need to be in the nature to feel it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what is the good work that is going on in the world right now. And we don't have very much time today, but the goal is to highlight a couple of the countless projects that organizations and individuals around the world are doing. So maybe each of you could speak to one example of something that was very successful and just share that with everyone.
Let me share one example where Dia and myself work together.
Yes.
Because I think that's the most successful I have been into, at least over the last many years. That was in India when we had World Environment Day. It was not Dia and myself alone, and huge amount of people. We brought in some of the gurus, the Hindu wise men, cricket players, the CEOs of the big companies of India, all into a movement to stop the enormous use of one-use plastic in India. And it ended up, I mean, it's unbelievable, with the Prime Minister of India, a very brave man, Mr. Modi, saying, we will phase out all one-use plastic from India by 2022. And it may be hard to understand what a commitment that is, but remind yourself that the population of India is 4 or 5 times the population of the United States of America. It's the most complicated place on planet Earth, very soon passing China to be the most populous nation in the world. If it can happen in India, well, it can happen absolutely everywhere else.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
True, very inspiring. I just add to what Eric said. I think the Beat Plastic Pollution campaign, in my mind, comes to me as one of the most significant campaigns of our times, and one of the most successful campaigns of our time, because I think now more than ever before, people understand how useless single-use plastics are and how dangerous they are to the environment. And I really think that it has taken the work of people, civil society, individuals, you know, whether it's Afroz Shah, who's leading the biggest beach cleanup in the world, or it is young children in schools, or it's mothers who want cleaner air, who want cleaner soil and food, and understand that having clean seas and waste management are connected, and that our consumption of single-use plastics is harming the environment that secures our health and the health of children. So it's been a phenomenal year being a part of the advocacy on Beat Plastic Pollution and witnessing not just the involvement and the participation that India had in you know, creating incredible reality on the ground, but also seeing the contribution that the world is making. And so many thought leaders, Eric, whether in government or policy, whether it's children, they've really come forward and are leading the change.
And Dia, so speaking to those campaigns where most of them, you know, you're in the center of some of the most successful ones, what would you say is the role of youth in these campaigns that led to their successes, and in specific also with women?
Well, I think it's, like I mentioned in my previous answer, I think mothers play a very important part in the success of these campaigns, because I think they identify and they see the correlation between the health of environment and their children's health. And the moment that happens, they get up and they do what needs to be done, and they ask the questions that need to be asked, and they're demanding the answers. And I think the most incredible thing about children and young people is that they are forming the solution. Like you know, you are as awesome as you are is because, you know, you saw a big problem and you said, hey, 1 second, this bothers me, this is not right, I have to fix it, and I'm going to fix it. And I think that's the power of the youth. And we're seeing it the world over in our young champions of Earth who, you know, for 2018, you'll be meeting them in the next couple of days. Every one of them is leading that change, and I think that's what's most important and inspiring.
And Eric, so speaking to, you know, the opportunities that are out there and what the young people are doing, What have been some of the observations or new work that you've seen come up from businesses? You know, we've seen more and more businesses transition, take on the responsibility to move us to that more sustainable future. What was an example of a collaboration between, you know, private and public, where we were able to achieve more together than just one party alone?
I mean, to change the world, I mean, the question I get most often from particularly young people is, does it matter what I do? Can I change the world? And I always reply, who else? Is there anyone else who will change the world for you? You need to be the change. Mahatma Gandhi, the great Indian, said, you need to be the change you want to see in this world.
Yeah.
That applies to business, it applies to governments, and it applies to citizens. And when we have strong movements, say, to get rid of this horrendous plastic pollution, or to stop the hole in the ozone layer, or to stop pollution, well, it's always all these three coming together, governments being visionary, business finding technical solutions like you are doing, so you should tell us, and citizens mobilizing. We are partnering with a number of good companies here in North America, with IBM on technical solutions, with Google. With Google, you can now you can photograph every single tree in the rainforest on Amazon. So
Wow.
no one can cheat you. If there is deforestation, you will see every single tree cut, and you will see it the day after. You can go after every fishing vessel in the world who do illegal fishing, because you can photograph them, and not only that, Google can tell you what are the fishing methods they use if they go into a conservation area. So the technology of private sector is absolutely amazing. But young people, who else? The most important movement in this nation, United States of America, at least in my lifetime, the civil rights movement. I mean, the best book about the civil rights movement is called The Children. They were around 20 when they did this fantastic turnaround of this nation. But turning to today, I mean, these champions, of the young champions, a fantastic group of young people with technological solutions. In the great, beautiful Indonesian island of Bali, two sisters, 14 and 16 years old, they started the biggest beach cleanup ever in Bali. When they did it, then the ministers came, then the business came. But they started it.
Yeah, they're friends of me.
Oh, great.
yeah, we have a very good community. So a question to help, you know, youth out there who want to make an impact, but maybe don't know exactly which of the challenges to get engaged with. What would be your suggestion for maybe some of the the highest impact challenges that we have today, or the ones we're closest to solving?
I mean, for me, it's always been respond to what makes you feel most despair. And it could be more than one thing, but I really believe that we can use our voice and our line of work, whatever it may be, you know, whether we're teachers or we're graphic designers or scientists. It doesn't matter what our vocation in life is, but we can use what we do to make a difference and spread that understanding. I think a very big part of the change is learning to care for the environment. And it's when we learn to care for the environment that we understand how important it is for us to protect it. And like you, I think, you know, a very big reason why I wanted to work with the UN and I became a part of the Beat Pollution campaign was because the quality of air in my country was bothering me. It was very,
So would you say that tackling air pollution?
Air pollution, clean seas, wildlife protection, forest protection are very, very critical, I think, to our
And
times.
Eric, what do you think?
We are at a very good moment in history. I mean, in media, it's nearly all negative. But we are in a very good moment in history. For the first time in so many areas, you can have triple win policies, meaning very good for the environment, very good for jobs and the economy, and very good for social development at the same time. Example, well, if you move from coal to solar energy, fantastic for the environment, much better for the health of the people, and creating many more jobs. There are 5 times more jobs in this nation in solar industry than there is in coal. If we beat plastic pollution, again, fantastic obviously for whales and seabirds and turtles who are dying by the day from eating plastics. very good for our health because we drink water with small pieces of plastic, very bad for us, but also fantastic for the economy because you turn plastic into a resource for new products. We are not wasting and we are creating jobs. That's what we should look for. But I see we are coming to an end, so I need to ask you to tell what you are doing, because that's one inspiring example for all of us as to what a young, dedicated person can do. So please tell us.
Yeah, that's a question you will answer best.
Well, I started working on the plastic problem since I was in high school, since a field trip. So my co-founder and I have been industry experts for 10 years now, even though, you know, people don't obviously prefer that. From seeing a young person doing this. We've invented a chemical technology by using a catalyst. We're the first ever to achieve being able to break down polyethylene plastics, whether it's low density or high density, into a variety of valuable chemicals. And these chemicals can be used to make all sorts of products around us. For example, the clothes that we wear, the performance materials needed in our cars, and all sorts of products that surround us today. So our vision is to take the trash out of plastic waste and to use the carbons that are locked in these plastics, which are causing all that pain and pollution, and to turn that into a resource, exactly like you said earlier.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Woo.
Okay, thank you. We're definitely out of time here. And so thank you very much for your time today, sharing with everyone. Definitely hope all of you are feeling much more inspired and empowered about the amazing work that's being done around the world. So a round of applause for not only our panels, but all of the work that's being done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you.